Welcome back to the Launch Point Leader Podcast. My name's Lori.
And this is Bo.
We're so excited to be back here another week as we dive into our continued conversation on establishing sustainable success, talking about how as leaders we work to build a foundation of success that is going to push us through to the end, not just something that can help us win for a short period of time, but will help us continue that sustained growth and help develop those underneath us. And so as we've been talking, we want to talk about this month about how we can really build systems for ourselves in the week to week to set us up for success. You know, as we think about what can cause leaders to sometimes have bursts of progress that they make and then stale out, or we get really energized and then we feel like we're just stagnant for a little bit. Like what can break us through that barrier and what can cause you to sometimes feel like you're kind of just drifting through your week. You know, you're kind of just letting it happen to you. And before you know it, it's Friday, it's Sunday, and you're buckling up to do it all over again. Yep. So what we really truly believe is that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
Yeah.
You know, so you've got to know those systems are in place to carry you through and that give you the foresight and look ahead to work towards your goals. And so that's kind of what we're talking about this week. How do we set up a week and set up systems as a leader to make sure that you are at the level that is helping you grow towards those goals? So I want to talk to you about maybe talk us through your week first. Talk about some non-negotiables, or when you hear leaders that are going through that, clients that come to you, friends that you have discussions with, what are some of those barriers in their way?
Yeah, I think one of the things that you said starting off with that I just read a note about was how do we help break the whirlwind? How do you break that whirlwind of, like you said, we have a plan, then we look up and it's Friday, it's Sunday, and it's like, God, we got to do this again. For me, there are 4 categories of non-negotiables on my weekly schedule, and I can say that pretty much about 90% of the time, these things are 100% locked in for me, and have been for a little while. And they've helped really change my energy level. They've helped change my outlook and I think my effectiveness. So, can I share them?
Please. I'm waiting on them.
I'm a morning person.
Great.
So I say morning work is important for me. If you're a night owl, which we have some of those and have those in our organizations too, night owl work is great as well. But for me, morning work is kind of divided into 2 sections: work on me, work on we. So I'll get up in the morning. That's when I'm the most productive, always have been. And I'll work on me first. So I am typically reading the Bible, I'm reading a devotional of some sort, and I'm reading some type of leadership excerpt. It might be out of a book, it might be off of a website, it might be off of a blog, something like that. And then I will, if something strikes me, I'll journal it, I'll write it out, I'll write what I think and what that could mean to me. And so that's kind of the first work on me.
Yeah.
Then I'll move into the work on we. That's when the computer comes out around the kitchen island. And I'm looking at all of the metrics from the day before, week, quarter, et cetera. Like, where are we? Where are we winning? Where are we losing? What might need my attention? And then I'll open up the emails and either send or respond. And so I think that's important because emails are last in that whole working on we thing, for me at least, that I don't want to be, my time doesn't need to be dictated by somebody else as urgent necessarily. I need to really do my process to go as the leader of the business. How are we looking? What needs attention? And then who do I need to get involved in those things? So work on me, work on we, and then I kind of end cap that with another work on me, which is usually a workout exercise of some type where I can do hard things and then go get ready for the day. So morning work.
That's so interesting, specifically the emails last, because I think that can be such a hindrance for people. Sometimes it's really tempting to start on the emails.
Let me asterisk this because you've gotten emails from me at like 3 o'clock in the morning before. And so there are rare occasions that I'm just like, I'll wake up and I'm like, I've got to I gotta go.
Sure.
Like stuff's on the mind. But yes, it's typically
there are definitely days,
after.
but I find those typically aren't like a response to something. That's you're thinking about it and
Yes,
want to make sure we
correct,
see it.
correct.
But I'm thinking about even myself, like starting my day, I can have plans, and to start that might be check the email. But then based off of what you receive, you can go down all these different rabbit holes, and 6 hours into the day, you're like, wow, I didn't do anything I'd planned. So I think setting up that system for yourself of you're setting the me and we intention to then go into it with a clear head of like, I'm remembering everything that's going on, not just maybe the piece of what's going on that this person's emailed me about. Because especially as the leader, people come to you with lots of different little aspects, and to them, it can be urgent, and sometimes it is, and many times it is for their scope of work. But, remembering this scale, I think that's good, because that can be such a stumbling block, I think, because we're so accessible now, emails, text, in person, whatever, when you see them next. So I think that's a really interesting.
Well, it's like, are you responding to, or are you dictating? If you're the leader, and obviously you've got to do both to a degree, but if all you're doing is responding, you're going to feel behind from the moment you get up in the morning.
So how do you balance that as a leader? How do you know what is responding versus dictating? And then where do you kind of draw that barrier so you're not just responding?
Yeah, I think it's like, what do they, when you filter those like inbox things to you, whether it's text, email, whatever, those questions, is it mission critical? Is it necessary for right now that you've got to get that answer to them? Or is it important, but it's not necessarily the most important? So I might have to do all these other things first because it's mission critical for the business, whereas this is more of a tactical. If it's delayed a few hours, if it's delayed a day, it's not gonna hurt anything. It's not gonna hurt anybody. So I think that's how I would start that.
That's helpful, because I think that's an important distinction as well, as we're staying in this term. But going back to your day, we're probably at what, 8 a.m. at this point? Workout, everything
I mean, it
done?
depends on the day, right? But yeah, you've got
Pretty
the morning work.
Still.
Pretty early. You've got morning work. Then for me, the other of the four is leader connectivity. So how am I, setting up my day to go, how am I connecting with the big leaders in my business, the ones that are running different departments, different parts of the organization, they're making the enterprise go. That might be one-on-ones. It might be group meetings. It might just be text messages, visits to check in, but it's leader connectivity. Are all of the people that are leading the biggest parts of the business, am I connected with them on a daily basis and seeing what's going on? How can I help? Asking questions, offering insight, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Number 3, frontline observation. So you think about this from we're at this high level, and then we're connecting with leaders. Then I do my very best to try to go, okay, what is it all that actually translating to in the business itself? What are customers seeing? What are clients experiencing? And it might not be a multi-hour thing. It might be a quick check-in, or it could be a multi-hour. It's just like, from all of that work, what's actually happening? And then from that, okay, that then potentially informs the next day's morning work. It potentially informs the next day's leadership connectivity based on what I've seen. And it could be like, hey, this is great. Here's some opportunities. Tell me about this. This is interesting to me. Interesting in a good way, interesting in not a good way. So it could be that. And then 4th is white space, or what I've termed white space for a lot of years, which is, for me, the ideal week and setting up the non-negotiables is, for me and my personality, if I do not have built-in time where I'm not scheduled to do something with the organization, if I don't have it, I am not effective for everything else that I have. I'll either dread going into the things, or I will regret doing some of the things because I'm drained. So for me, what that looks like is typically middle of the week. I've got about a half a day that nothing is technically scheduled, personal or professional. And that's not my day off. That's not a day off. I'm not on the golf course or by the pool, although nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But those are times where I can actually sit down and do the deep thinking work. I can go, okay, strategically, are we doing the things we need to be doing to get to where we want to go in a year, in 3 years, in 5 years? It also is a time to breathe and go, okay, based on what's happened so far this week, does the rest of my week make sense or does it need to change at all?
Yeah.
And then for the rest of the week, what are the big things coming up that are like, they need me to be at my best? And so I take that white space time and go, how do I prepare to be my best for those things that are absolutely mission critical for the business? Yeah. So that I'm not coming in running on fumes.
That's new to me. I've never heard you talk about that. I really like that, especially putting it at midweek. It's so tempting sometimes to, which of course are great too, like your beginning of week or you end of week recap, but like giving yourself that point in the middle to reassess and say, what can I change this week? Or what can I just think about long term if everything's on track for this week?
Well, you know, where this came from is actually our mid-year retreats that we've done for, multiple years now. And I guess since probably 2019, 2020. So for 5, 6, 7 years, we just started this, hey, we have this like, oh, end of year, hoorah, let's do it. Beginning of year, here's the serious plan. And then we just go head down and plow through the year. And what I found in those mid-year retreats is like, man, that's just our, how are we doing? Let's also take some time to relax and kind of refresh and regroup and go, did what we say in January, does it still make sense for November? And so that's kind of where that came from. And so I try to do that on a weekly basis now to go, did what I thought at the beginning of the week, does it still make sense for the end of the week? And just having that space to think, if nothing else, for me helps clarify.
Yeah, something about giving yourself that permission too, to like take that time away and evaluate. Whereas if you've packed your schedule and haven't allowed for that, it feels like maybe not a waste of time, but I have other things I need to be doing right now. Can I really process where that way you've set it up? So go through real quick your 4 things again, your non-negotiables for your week.
Yeah. So morning work, work on me, work on we, leader connectivity. So making sure you're checking in for me with the heads of departments, those people that are taking that mission and vision and then actually carrying it out. Number 3 would be frontline connectivity or frontline evaluation, observation. Are we actually taking those things that we said we were going to do, those things we hope to be? Is it coming true for our customers and for our team members? And then 4th is white space, making some free time and protecting it so that you can react to the business and that you can do those deep thinking things that are needed to make sure that you're staying ahead of the business and not just responding to.
That's good. I think that's a really helpful, fresh way to look at a week that isn't necessarily like Mondays I do this, Tuesdays I do this. Is this like these are things incorporated multiple times throughout the systems. So then as if I'm a leader and saying I don't have those things for me at all, I don't know my pillars, how do you figure out what those priorities are and how to build similar systems for yourself? Because nobody's week's going to look exactly like yours.
I think it's probably a twofold thing. It's first, have you identified and done the work to identify the things that are the most mission critical for you in the business? Who are those people? What are those things? And have you built your schedule around those things? Or are you building your schedule in responsiveness to the day-to-day things that come up? So as a leader, you've got to go, again, leader connectivity. They're the ones getting the work done. They're the ones that need to be connected to me, to the mission, to the vision. I've got to make sure I've got them, and that if there's something they need, I can help them with that and that they feel that. But on the flip side, we can't just be all about theory and Strategy, we've got to go, is it actually happening? Which is that frontline observation piece. So I think, have you done the work to go, what's the most important things in the business that need attention and that only you can do? And then number two, I would say, who are you as a person and what do you need?
Yeah.
Because if you don't address that as well, you're going to burn out midweek. You're going to get to Monday night and you're going to be like, oh my goodness, that didn't go according to plan, which happens. But you have to know you as a person. And so that's why for me, the morning work is so critical. If I don't do the morning work, I mean, my day is wildly different. And if I don't have that white space time in my week is wildly different because that's me.
Yeah.
So I think that's the other thing is you have to know who you are and don't feel bad about that.
Yeah.
You have to build that in so that you can be the best leader for other people. You're pouring yourself out all day, every day. You've got to fill yourself up. And that's one of the ways that you do it.
Yeah. I love that you plugged first you have to do the work yourself and understand the work only you can do, but also taking the time to understand yourself and what do you need? Because sometimes as leaders, we can say like, oh, I need to put away those parts of myself and I have to look a certain mold. I have to build my week just like Bo does, And so saying like, what are the things that would cause me, I know in the past have caused me to feel overwhelmed, to get stuck in those ruts that we talked about earlier and figure out how do you work with that rather than fight it in certain ways and aspects and say, understand what do I need to do to take care of me so that I show up my best.
Well, here's a clear example that's totally different than me. I mean, my workouts is an example working on me. I mean, they're anywhere from 30 minutes to like an hour 20 max. That's it. We've got a guy that works with us that's a great leader that's advancing through the organization that just yesterday I'm hearing stories about. He comes home at the end of the day and goes and rides his stationary bike for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But, from like 10 to 12:30 at night, I could not know.
Yeah.
But for him, he has to do that for him to be right for the next day. So I think that just goes to your example of these are ideas.
Right.
You don't have to follow these specifically, but you do need to understand yourself and what you need to do for you to be a great leader in the business for everybody else. So shout out to him.
So fun. Yeah.
Like Iron Man, can't do it.
Yeah. Good for him.
Yeah.
And what he needs
Bravo,
to do to be a successful
I'll be
leader.
sleeping at that point in time.
You'll be asleep. Perfect. Me too. As I'm thinking of that, it comes back to this idea of before you can do anything else, you have to fully understand yourself, but understand the things that only you can do, I think is the key piece that keeps coming up. And we have a great resource for that on our website now. It's the Automate, Delegate, or Eliminate quiz. And it just kind of takes you through different scenarios and helps you work through what do I need to automate, because I'm sure there are things you're doing physically that can be automated in a way. Delegate, what can I give to other people? What am I doing because I feel like I have to, but not because I am the only person? And then what are the things you just need to stop and eliminate doing? You need to fully just stop. You don't even need someone else to do it. Like there are things that we do in the day-to-day that are just taking up time that we do maybe because we've always done them or they just aren't working anymore. So that can help you think through and give you a really good starting point for that. And then, of course, always on our website, we've got a free coaching call that if this is all you want to talk about for that free coaching call, we're happy to spend some time figuring out how to start you on that journey. And all our other resources on our website, please, launchpointleader.com. We love when people visit us there. We're happy to help you on this journey because this is a really solid foundation. If you're trying to establish sustainable success in your business, you have to start with yourself. There's no other way to start. And so I want to give you the last chance to wrap it up with anything. You want to leave some parting thoughts?
No, I think that the resource that you just mentioned is absolutely critical. It's such a cool thing to go through, even if you feel like you're in a great spot, but especially if you feel like you might be struggling or the wheels are shaking a little bit, as we say. It is such an awesome thing to go through. So please go visit that. Go take that. It's going to help open your eyes to different things. So yeah, love it. That's it.
Amazing. Well, that's it for this week. We're so excited this month as we keep talking about ways to build personal, sustainable success. So we hope you'll join us. Visit us at LaunchPoint Leader. You can always write us in on our website as well if you've got a question you want us to read on the podcast. And we'll see you next week. Thank you.